This is an intervention because girly pop, we need to have a talk about how hard you're pushing yourself and how that is silently killing you.
This is an ode to the forgotten feminine, with love letters to and from all kinds of women. Here for the daughters carrying the world upon their spine, wherefore the silence of our grandmothers we rise. Here to remember our power and shed our doubt. Forget the bullshit the patriarchy's on about. This is an ode to the forgotten feminine, with love letters to and from all kinds of women.
This episode is for my girlies who are always doing. They're always busy with 10 things on their daily to-do list, but maybe that to-do list has started to feel very aimless, like you're throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping something sticks, and finally yields the results of your labor. You're probably a high achiever with parents with high expectations, or friends and colleagues who are very ambitious and have high expectations of themselves. You might be a business owner, a student, or just someone who has big ambitions for life, but that ambition might have turned into a lot of doing that is now causing you resentment and exhaustion from realizing that you're living a life that isn't truly from your own expectations of yourself and what you hope of for this beautiful life. But you also don't know how to stop doing because you don't really know where to start asking yourself the questions about who you really are and what you really want. So if that sounds like you, darling, I am so happy that you chose to join me here today. My name is Mariana. I'm the host here at the Letters to and From Women podcast, and I'm also the founder of my somatic coaching practice, The Enlightened Woman, where I am helping women rediscover safety and self-trust after a lifetime built on self-abandonment. And we are having this intervention because you are likely burnt out from the survival instinct of leading from people-pleasing, and that is going to stop today. I'm not going to throw a super structured weekly timetable at you to hustle and get motivated and start hitting your milestones. I'm actually here to give you permission and invite you to tear all your routines as you know them down. Because I believe that women who know the power of their creativity and lean into that creativity for the answers to their overwhelm are the most powerful women, because they are the vessels through which their creativity not only yields the life of their dreams, but also replenishes them. You do not have to be an artist, a writer, a singer-songwriter of any kind to listen and engage with this episode, because this isn't a conversation about creating you into a artist that sells your paintings or your writing. Unless that's really where you want to get to, you can scale it up from there. This is a conversation of how to reset your nervous system using what I call experimental boredom, which might be exactly the opposite of what you would think one would implement in the face of burnout, but that is exactly why this conversation is so important. Today, we're going to be talking about why you need experimental boredom and how to build it into your day, how experimental boredom resets your mind and your nervous system, and believe it or not, how that boredom can actually create more time, energy, and motivation in your life and actually make you feel less like you've wasted your time. And I'm also going to be giving you a 10-minute protocol that you can start today to start healing the overwhelm eroding your body right now and start creating more lightness, energy, and inspiration in your life to get back to being the big dreamer that you deserve to be. And by the way, I should just say before we get into the video, this protocol that I'm going to be giving you today, I'm also going to be teaching in depth with somatic healing interventions inside my 10-day challenge from burnt out to alive, which starts the day after this episode drops on April 15th. This is a creative journey for the women who are suffering in silence at the hands of their overwhelm that they are too afraid to step away from because they've built their identity on their achievements and productivity seeking. I'm going to be guiding you through this process step by step so you don't just understand it, but you actually become a woman who leads her life through her creativity, who uses her creativity to help her decipher what she actually desires from this life and guide the dreams that she chooses to pursue from a place of true authenticity. Now, baby girl, buckle in because the nuggets I've got in this episode for you are just chef's kiss. I'm so excited. So, if you tuned into the last 2 episodes of the podcast, which if you haven't, I will link them in the description below, you would know that I spoke about how a few months ago in November of 2025, I began the process of pulling myself out of a pretty bad bout of depression in which I woke up every day feeling like nor my life, nor my business were mine at all. I was constantly pursuing other people's dreams, other people's expectations, and just guilting myself for wanting any kind of time for myself and my hobbies because I didn't see those things as productive or like they were getting me ahead in the world in the ways that I thought I needed to. And traditionally, what I would have done in a place like that is I would have gone on YouTube and looked up some harsh motivational video by David Goggins or Layla or Alex Hormozy. But I decided, using my knowledge of my nervous system and the signals that I was getting from my body, that that was not the answer this time around. And I'm not bashing any of those people because I do believe that their wording and their advice has a time and a place. But when I really sat down with myself and reflected on where my overwhelm was coming from, I realized, and take a good listen to what I'm about to say here. I realized that I was approaching a directionlessness problem with more structure instead of freedom. And you might be doing this as well. For example, you might be in a phase of your life where you're really struggling to figure out who you are and what you want to do for your career or with your time in general. And you're filling your days and weeks to the brim with suggestions that other people are giving you or ideas that you've gained from watching how other people lead what is in your perception a successful life, but you're just kind of throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping that those activities give you the answers that you are looking for based on the results that they produced for somebody else. But my love, you cannot build a life that is authentically your own, hoping for someone else's results. The results that create more purpose and vigor in your life are going to be results that are tied to an authentic goal of your own. And I think admitting that we might not have that goal can be the scariest part. And admitting that slowing down for long enough to ask ourselves the question of what that goal is also extremely difficult because we are constantly pulled in so many directions about what makes a meaningful life, what makes a successful person, what makes a lazy person versus a motivated person. And if you have areas of your life where you do not fit those definitions or you do not align your values with what other people value productive or successful as, it's going to incite a lot of shame and it makes that slowing down even harder when you feel lazy or guilty for needing to do so. But my love, the first step to building a life that empowers you is admitting that you are living one right now that is silently killing you. And it is also time that you let go of the idea that achieving more things to do in a day will give you more to be proud of, rather than infusing more quality in your day so that you know that you lived that day consciously rather than just roboting your way past it, chasing achievement after achievement. Like, would you rather get up and immediately jump out of bed, go hit the gym, then go get a coffee, then come back and run and turn on your laptop to do 6 hours of work, then record a podcast episode, and then go out and see a friend, and then come back home and have 5 minutes to brush your teeth, and then go to bed? Or would you rather wake up and have a slow morning where you choose to make a coffee first, maybe journal or do something creative first, and then go to the gym and take your time, and then come home and do 2 or 3 meaningful things in your work, and then in the evening, have the chance to slow down, turn some music on, make yourself a meal that truly nourishes you, or have a friend over for some wine and make that meal together. And then before you go to bed, read a book that really alivens you. Which of those two scenarios actually sound more fulfilling to you? Because when you're on your deathbed at the end of this life, I can guarantee you that there's one of those scenarios that you will look back on more fondly. And personally, I don't really think it's the former for most people. I believe that one of the first steps to rebuilding a life that is truly ours is by redefining the word rest. Rest should not be something we do to recharge, to then go right back to abandoning ourselves again in our work, in our relationships, in our families, in our routines. It should be a place where we slow down, we choose the quiet as a means to realign with ourselves again so that we can show up in life more authentically and with more intention rather than in complete ignorance of our needs and our desires. Let me put it this way as well. How can your body ever truly rest if you get home from a job that you hate? If you get home from hanging out with people who drain you and disempower you, or a degree that you don't love, or a workout where you just punished yourself, how can your body ever truly rest knowing that it's depleted? It's going to get a few hours to recharge, and then you're going to repeat that same cycle the next day. It is going to scream at you, darling. No wonder you're so exhausted. The signal that your body is trying to send you right now is that it's asking you to slow down and listen to what you dream of, what your heart is longing for, what your soul is being called to. And that can feel really selfish, but you can choose a quiet day to sit in those questions, or you can continue living your life as not your own until it's too late. And what I want to introduce you to today as the intervention you need to start sitting in that silence with those questions is what I like to call experimental boredom. This was my own intervention in my life back in November 2025 when I didn't feel like I was living in any way, shape, or form authentically to what I desired. Because again, going back to that directionlessness problem analogy, if you are throwing spaghetti at a wall right now, hoping for results, but your aim is not infused with intention or with clear vision of what you truly want out of those goals, it's just going to continue to be like throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping it sticks. So you don't need more structure and discipline in your routine. You need the space to reflect and to experiment with your creativity in a way that is not attached to an achievement. And that is why experimental boredom is such a massive, life-changing intervention. It helps your body learn to feel safe while doing nothing, or at least doing something that is not tied to achievement. It also helps your body and nervous system realize that your survival does not depend on achievement. And it helps you feel the enjoyment of creating for the sake of creating and replenishing yourself, which actually helps you feel like there's more time and presence in your day instead of resorting to things like doom scrolling because you're too overwhelmed at all the things you think you need to do. So, here is the protocol that I want you to try today or tomorrow as soon as you can after this episode. There are 2 phases to this protocol, and phase 1 that I want you to do as soon as you can is you're going to set a time today or tomorrow. You're going to set a timer for 10 to 30 minutes, and your only job is to do nothing. You're going to go into a quiet room or out into your garden or into nature. No phones allowed, no ruminating allowed, no thinking of work is allowed here. And you're just going to do nothing. You're going to let your curiosity be driven by your surroundings, by the things that catch your eye in your environment. Stare at a wall, stare into the sky, look at the plants in your garden, look at the birds flying around. It doesn't matter. But this isn't directed thinking. This is meant to be aimless. When our focus isn't honed in on something, as it typically is when we are ruminating inside our minds, it gives the space for our curiosity to actually go inwards first. This is called the default mode network in the brain that gets activated. And that curiosity goes inward first to then go outward into the world seeking what it is naturally and authentically drawn towards. You might see a bird or a bumblebee or a space in your room that you realize that you want to change. There's absolutely no right or wrong here. But afterwards, what you're going to do is you're going to spend 5 minutes writing down in a journal or in your notes app what observations you had during that time of boredom. It can literally be as simple as I saw this really nice flower in this location in my garden, or I saw a bumblebee and now I'm really curious to learn more about bees' life cycle. It doesn't matter. The goal here is to create room for the truth of who you are to start guiding your curiosity and to feel more comfortable giving your curiosity the room to just float around. And you don't have to act on any of the items on this list, by the way. The goal here is just to start expanding your horizons. And I should say, too, this practice, if you get home from a super busy day of work or school or childcare, it can be quite hard to go from 100 to 0 and just do nothing. So if this is you and you get home and you're stressed and your system's fired up, I encourage you to set a 5-minute timer to make a mind dump list or a worry list where you just write out the worries or the stressors in your day if you're finding it really hard to detach from them, and then go into the practice that I just described. I should share with you that when I started doing this practice back in November of 2025, I discovered such a deep love and interest for interior design that I did not know I had before. I started looking around my room at like all the nooks and crannies that I really wasn't happy with, that were messy, or that the design was in a way that just wasn't aligning with who I was at the time. And I spent a lot of those moments in boredom just playing around with different configurations. I'd like move little trinkets and books over to different shelves, to different locations on top of my dresser. And now you can't really see my room too much, but if you're watching me on YouTube, the wall behind me used to be full of pictures, and now it's other photographs that I've collected from artists over the years. And there's also collage behind me that is not quite finished yet. But that all happened from the practice of just letting my creativity run aimlessly and learning how to not tie that creativity to an achievement or a result, but rather just as a practice of observing my inner world through my actions. I'm going to let you in on an insider secret, which is that the real medicine of this practice is not just the nervous system reset or learning how to embrace more boredom in your life. It's actually the intention of creating more awe in your life. When your curiosity is given the room to run freely, it naturally starts creating more wonder in your life when you start noticing things that were outside of your awareness before, like trees, colors in your space, animals in your environment. And that art of noticing creates more gratitude and wonder. And there's research to show that there is no awe when it comes to financial gains or when we buy consumer products. Deriving awe from our naturally born curiosity to the world around us and to the art that we make through our own limitless creativity is actually what fulfills us and starts giving us a reservoir from which to start finding more and more purpose in life. So that is phase 1 of the experimental boredom intervention here. And in phase 2, what you're going to do after about 3 or 4 days of phase 1 is you are going to start committing to making art. Now, as I said before, you do not have to be an artist or good at any kind of art with your hands or with music to do this practice. The goal here is to start exploring your creativity by giving it room to express itself freely, and also to make the commitment to yourself to show up and create something for your own eyes that nobody necessarily has to see if you don't want to. It's very simple. It's the same protocol that I mentioned before. 10 to 30 minutes of alone time in your room or outdoors with no phone. And you're just gonna create art in whatever way your heart desires that day. It might be you just sit with a blank piece of paper in front of you and you draw or you write whatever comes to your mind. Maybe you lay out your yoga mat in your room and you just see what movement your body feels called to. Maybe you turn on some music and you just let yourself dance for that time. Maybe you have an instrument that you've never played or you're learning how to play or you have some experience with, and you just let your fingers start playing music for you, or you sing a song. Whatever the medium that sparks curiosity for you is, you're just going to give yourself time to witness your creativity through that medium. This is where it gets really exciting, because when we start giving our creativity the room to breathe without pressure, we start getting to know who we truly are and what truly moves our soul and what enlivens us for the sake of doing that thing, not because that thing produces any kind of achievement in our lives. And actually creating without a goal will help you when you return to structured activities in your day that you have to do, because now not everything in your life will feel so attached to achievement. You can start going to the gym for the joy of moving your body. You will start going to work with less of a sense of pressure and more of an appreciation for your own abilities that you bring to that workplace. And no matter what, you're probably going to experience some shame or a totally blank mind when you first begin, but that's okay. You surmount that shame by approaching it with care and with love and with curiosity. And that is the whole point of this experiment. And it's a beautiful thing, because when you realize that you can create your life and your purpose out of the supply of your own medicine that you bring through your creativity, you will gain an unbelievable, beautiful amount of confidence towards yourself. And it will help you heal the burnout that you always feel like you're dragging around with your shadow and resting in bouts just to go right back to it. Because when your life isn't a list of things that you have to do, you start to realize the pleasure of getting to do some of those things at least. And when your survival no longer depends on constantly achieving things and constantly fulfilling somebody else's expectations, you will start feeling like there is more time and energy in your day because now you're more focused on fulfilling yourself and your desires rather than somebody else's. And that is the magic of witnessing your own medicine through this practice. So, once again, if you want to do this protocol along with myself and other women who are on their journey of eradicating the burnout, keeping them from the life that they desire, my From Burnt Out to Alive challenge starts on April 15th inside my sisterhood called Belong. And it is completely free to join us. All you have to do is create an account inside the Circle app, and you will automatically get access to the live videos that I'll be doing in there every other day and the little itty bitty goals that I'll be setting for you to ignite your creativity and heal the overwhelm in your nervous system. And if this episode resonated with you, please, please, please give it a like, give us a rating on Apple or Spotify or here on YouTube. Let me know in the comments what came through for you, what creative practice you're super excited to try, and what videos or episodes you want to see from me in the future, because I'm committed to creating a space for women to come and find their life reflected in different stories and experiences that I share on here, and just to helping you start building the life of your dreams, grounded in your authentic truth. You are so loved. Thank you so much again for being here, and I will see you in the next episode.